And I call the honourable member for Lalor.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, in Wyndham, the last census tells us that only 35% of adults had a post-school qualification. Of that, just over 27,000 people with a qualification. Almost 11,000 was for a certificate level, while 16,000 was for a diploma, degree, master or doctorate. Madam Speaker, the average for Australia is almost 60%. You can see there that in Lalor we need access to higher education for our young people. And the electorate was benefiting from Labor's changes to the higher education system, changes that resulted in an extra 190,000 Australians in the system, many from my community, often the first in their family to attend university or TAFE. And we were proud that we were elevating potential wherever it was found, rather than being reserved to those with means. Madam Speaker, Labor has always argued that access to higher education is the door to opportunity for individuals and the nation. And before the last election, now Prime Minister Abbott promised no cuts to education, and Minister Pyne said there would be no changes to higher education. And yet here we are with the Abbott government changes to the higher education space in the parliament this week. Changes, Madam Speaker, that include a 20% cut to funding to universities. Universities being forced to increase fees to cover that loss and having caps lifted that may see costs soar. On top of that, changes threaten the social contract around student debt being affordable, with talk of $100,000 degrees, and changes to interest rates that will change people's life decisions. Madam Speaker, I believe that only ability and hard work, not the income of students or their families, should determine who is able to obtain a university education. I also believe that it is not enough to enrol a young person. We must ensure they succeed. This relies on quality and excellence in the system. Too often, I hear dreadful stories of the lack of support students experience when seeking assistance from lecturers and tutors. I hear stories of signs on the tutor's door that say, "Not in today," and that can be repeated for weeks. But many of these tutors and lecturers are on short-term contracts, often with no extra for student support time. And under this government, universities face a 20% cut in their funding. Universities will have to compensate for cuts by using their new power to set their own fees. Or the quality will be lowered. There'll be less preparation, marking and support time for staff, pressure to pass students who've paid large sums of money. There'll be less spent on campus services. Madam Speaker, what gains are there for a young person to proudly obtain a university place if that means that a lower education quality is served up? And it's the kids in Lalor that will balk at embarking on a degree that will double or triple in cost, that don't want to start their working lives with a $100,000 debt. And it's not just the university sector that has been hit by the Liberals. In Victoria, the Liberal government has slashed TAFE funding. A report today from the Standing Committee on Education and Employment has identified significant issues facing the TAFE system. For a long time, the quality of TAFE has been paramount. The Australian public wants a public provider of vocational education and training. Recent meetings with apprentices, I heard that many valued the TAFE system over private providers. They saw private providers as lax and with little interest in student outcomes. The report today, Madam Speaker, recommends that the value of TAFE be recognised by the government and to see its future strengthened by federal expenditure. It also outlines the importance of working with the state and territory governments to ensure quality provision. Well, this won't be a problem in Victoria if it elects a state Labor government on Saturday, as Daniel Andrews and his team have shown they're ready to commit to this. But I call on this government to honour its promises of no cuts to education and no changes to higher education. I call on this government, Madam Speaker, to get off the education wrecking ball in a time when youth unemployment is rising.